This is not a coincidence. Let me ask you something directly. Do you feel it? A subtle hum beneath the noise of your life, a feeling that you're reading from a different script than everyone else. That is not your imagination. That is your soul trying to get your attention. And July 2025 is the deadline. It's not an ending, but a convergence point, a moment where the person you've been pretending to be collides with the person you were born to be. Every challenge, every wrong turn, every moment of isolation. It was all calibration, preparing you for now. This isn't a message of doom, it's a message of activation. You were not built to fit in. You were never meant for the cheap distractions, the hollow approval, and the frantic pace of the crowd. Your spirit was designed for depth, for truth, for silence. You have been pulled apart, tested, and reforged for a singular purpose: to finally wake up. That inner restlessness you feel, that's not anxiety. That's your true self rattling the bars of the cage your mind has built. You can hit snooze, or you can rise, but the alarm is going off, and the time is now. Deep down you know something fundamental has to give, and the truth is it already has. July 2025 is not the end of the world, but it must be the end of the compromised version of you, the version that makes excuses, that seeks permission, that chooses the familiar ache of comfort over the sharp, clarifying call of purpose. That version of you has expired. The world doesn't need another echo, it needs your voice. Not in a few months, not when you feel ready. Now, the urgency you feel pulsing in your veins is the most real thing you've felt in years. That's why you're here. This moment is the question, and your life is the answer. The time for waiting for perfect conditions is over. The time for excuses has run out. This is it. Everything you believe you lack, the courage, the discipline, the clarity, the presence, is already inside you. It was not given to you, it was forged in you. Every failure, every betrayal, every night you stared at the ceiling asking, "Why me?" was feeding the roots of your strength. It was all preparing you, so that when this moment arrived, you would remember the power you've always held. This world is a master of distraction. It teaches you how to perform, not how to live. But you were designed to do more than just survive. You were designed to embody truth, and that requires courage. This date is simply a line drawn in the sand for those brave enough to cross it. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need all the answers. You only need to make a choice. Choose clarity over confusion. Choose discipline over distraction. Choose your truth over their noise. You are not being called to invent a new self. You are being called to excavate the real one. The one buried under layers of fear, obligation, and the quiet lie of, "I'm not ready yet." A gateway opens in July. Not in the sky, but within you. A door will appear, but only those who are willing to walk through it alone will see it. If you take that step, you will be irrevocably changed, not because the world around you shifts, but because you do. And when you change, your world has no choice but to follow. You are reading this now for a reason. That is a fact. Do not dismiss this. Do not categorize it as just another piece of content. It isn't. This is your final reminder that your time is not a renewable resource, that your comfort zone is a cage lined with velvet, that waiting is the most sophisticated form of self-betrayal. You've been led to believe you have endless tomorrows. You don't. You've been told to wait for a leader. You are the leader. It is your watch. It has always been. This message is not meant to frighten you. It's meant to detonate the part of you that has been dormant, the part that already knows all of this is true. You survived everything you've been through for a reason. You endured the fire to gain wisdom. Your ego was shattered so your soul could finally take the lead. July 2025 is not a time for quiet observation. It is a time for aligned action. It's time to move, to speak, to become the person you were meant to be. Will you feel fear? Of course, that is part of the process. Will you be met with resistance? Absolutely. But you move anyway. You act anyway. That is what defines those who answer the call. Not because they are perfect, but because they are done waiting to be. They move forward with the tools they have. They act on the truth they know. They are done hiding. Let this moment leading up to July 2025 be the point where you drop the act. The day you stop negotiating with your own potential. The moment you stop saying you're not ready. Release the you that is holding you back. The world is waiting for the truth that only you can live. Not tomorrow. Now. Most people navigate life based on a faulty map. They believe the surface is all there is. They live in a state of reaction to headlines, to opinions, to their own fleeting emotions. They pursue things that rust, fade, and disappear. They build their identity on sand, on their job title, their appearance, their accomplishments. But that is not your path. That is why this found you. Because the era of illusion is cracking. The world you perceive is not objective reality. It is a projection of unexamined beliefs and inherited fears. The reality you've known has been constructed for you since birth. What to want, who to be, that is not you. It's a role you've learned to play. You are not your past. You are not your job. You are not your reputation. These are costumes. The real world, the one that hums beneath the static, only reveals itself when the mind grows quiet. When you stop needing to be right, when you stop running from the discomfort of silence, when you stop labeling every experience, that's when you begin to see. You see the programming in others, the addiction to validation, the desperate escape into noise. The real world begins where the performance ends. And that is what July 2025 symbolizes, a crack in the matrix, not an external event but an internal shift, a choice to stop pretending. The chaos in the world is not random, it's the sound of the old structures breaking down. The illusion is collapsing under its own weight. And in that collapse, you have a choice. Cling to the rubble or open your eyes. The real world is not something you create, it's something you allow. You don't have to fight for it. You just have to stop suppressing it. Stop burying it under a mountain of distractions, obsessive thoughts, and unexamined emotional patterns. When you decelerate, when you can observe your own mind without obeying its every command, the veil thins. You start to see the truth. You've been taught that success is a destination, that happiness is a purchase, that love is a transaction, that security comes from approval. Every single one of these is a lie designed to keep you asleep. The truth is quieter, simpler. It doesn't demand, it doesn't shout, it waits. It waits for you to become so utterly exhausted by the chase that you finally stop running. That exhaustion is not a sign of failure, it is a sign that you are ready. The world you've known operates on a frequency of lack of urgency, of competition. That is why so many feel empty. That is why more is never enough. They are trying to solve a spiritual problem with a material solution. They look for peace in places where it cannot grow and then wonder why they feel anxious. The true world is already here, but it requires something from you. It requires stillness. It requires radical honesty. It asks that you look at yourself without flinching, that you stop outsourcing blame, that you stop numbing yourself and finally choose to feel. To live not for the audience but for the integrity of your own soul. This is not the easy path, but for you, it is the only path. July 2025 is not about what happens out there. It's about the quality of your seeing. It is about a fundamental upgrade to your awareness. The moment you shift from reaction to observation, from ego to presence, the game changes. And that choice is available to you right now, if you are willing to let go. Let go of the identity you've worked so hard to build. Let go of fear as your primary advisor. Let go of the story that says you are broken. These are the filters that distort your vision. Remove them and what you find is not emptiness but depth, peace, presence, the kind that is not dependent on circumstances. This is not a philosophy. It is a way of being. You either live from this place of truth or you live in fear. There is no middle ground. The date is a gateway. Walk through it, and you begin to move differently. You speak with intention. You listen with your whole being. You live with a quiet power. That is how you know you have come home to the real world. And once you do, you can never go back. The superficial will never again be enough. The need to escape will vanish. The urge to chase will dissolve. You will simply be here now, fully. And in that being, you will remember everything. Your pain was your initiation. The lessons were brutal, but they sculpted you in ways that comfort never could. Here is the truth: nothing was wasted. Not the betrayal, not the isolation, not the failure. Each time you were brought to your knees, you were forced to find a strength you didn't know you had. Clarity, resilience, wisdom. These are not born from victory. They are forged in fire. In the moments no one saw, in the silent battles, in the instant you thought you couldn't take one more step but you did. July 2025 is not about fate, it's about integration. It's a call to look back at your scars and understand they were not marks of damage, but maps that led you here. Pain was the force that stripped away everything that wasn't you. It demolished the illusion of control. It taught you humility. It showed you who your real allies were. It forced you to listen, to be still, to stop performing. You were not being broken, you were being built. Every scar has a story, but more importantly, it has a frequency. The fact that you survived the darkness means you carry a light others need. You didn't just endure, you evolved. Your pain sharpened your senses. It trained you to see what is real, to value what is true, to choose substance over spectacle. You no longer chase what you once did. You no longer tolerate what you once accepted. You have changed, quietly, profoundly. July is a mirror, asking you to finally look. Not to relieve the hurt, but to honor the strength it created. There is no growth without pressure, no breakthrough without a breakdown. What you experienced taught you what no book ever could. It taught you patience, it taught you fortitude. It taught you how to move forward when no one was cheering for you, especially then. That is where your true power was born. The world teaches you to run from pain, numb it, distract from it, deny it, but you were called to walk through it. Not to be destroyed by it, but to be defined by it. This isn't about being fearless. It's about acting in the presence of fear. It's about weathering storms that would break others and not letting them make you bitter. You've done that. You've walked through hell with a smile, and you are still standing. That is not fragility, that is power. There were moments you almost surrendered. You told yourself it was too much, you lost faith. That was part of the alchemy. The old you had to be dissolved so the true you could emerge. The part of you that was full of questions had to be emptied to make room for the answers that were always within. Stronger, calmer, and more real. Now is the time to stop using your past as a shield. It is time to wield it as a sword. Let it inform your discernment. Let it fuel your resolve. Let it anchor you in what matters. July 2025 marks the moment you stop asking, why me, and start declaring for me, not to excuse the pain, but to alchemize it, to stop bleeding from wounds that have already become scars. You are no longer a product of your past. You are the architect of your future. Your strength was not inherited, it was earned, day by agonizing day, in the very fires you thought would consume you. You now possess a wisdom that others, cushioned by comfort, cannot comprehend. You have felt the weight of true silence. You have sat with the void. You have survived the long nights of the soul when no one called, and the days when your smile was an act of war. That depth is rare. It gives your words weight. It gives your presence power. It gives you compassion. When you speak, it comes from a place of knowing, not a place of opinion. Your pain was not meaningless. But now you must decide what it will become. Let it become your mission. Let it shape your leadership. Let it define how you serve. The world does not need more perfect people. It needs whole ones. It needs people who have been broken and have put themselves back together. People who know the dark and yet consciously choose the light. That is you. You were chosen because you walked through fire and did not come out smelling like smoke. You used it to purify your vision. The time for reflection is ending. The pain that built you now requires you to build. Speak with the authority of your scars. Act with the clarity of your survival. Stop apologizing for the journey that made you. On July 2025, let that be the day you turn your face to the future and walk forward, not in spite of your past, but because of it. You must break the chains in your own mind. They are invisible, but they are stronger than steel. They tighten every time you second guess yourself, every time you heed the voice of the inner critic that whispers you are not ready. These chains are forged from thoughts, old, automatic, and unexamined. They command you to play small, to stay safe, to wait. You have been waiting your entire life. Now it is time to see the truth. You were never trapped by your circumstances. You were trapped by your own thinking. Since you were a child, you were handed a set of instructions: what to believe, what to fear, what to chase to prove your worth. You internalized them, not from weakness, but because that is the nature of conditioning. But now, you must unlearn, not gradually, immediately, because July 2025 is not a distant landmark, it's a rapidly approaching precipice. It is a moment to sever the delusions and claim your sovereignty. The prison was always in your mind. Your thoughts are not directives. Your feelings are not facts. You have spent a lifetime mistaking the weather for the sky. That stops now. You are not your anxiety. You are not your bad habits. You are not your limiting beliefs. You are the silent, spacious awareness that observes them all. And that awareness is already and has always been free. The mind is a relentless negotiator. It argues for comfort. It pleads for the familiar. It warns you that you are not prepared. But ask yourself, how long has that voice been running your life? How many opportunities have you missed listening to it? How many times did you silence your own truth because that voice counseled caution? That voice is not your guide, it is your guard, and it fears your freedom. Breaking these chains means doing the exact opposite of what your conditioned mind advises. Be still when it screams for distraction. Speak up when it demands you stay quiet. Take the risk when it begs you to play it safe. This is how the awakened live. Not by seeking permission from their own thoughts, but by demonstrating mastery over them. Discipline is not a punishment. It is the tool you use to free yourself. Without it, your mind is your master. With it, you are. July 2025 is the crossroads. You either continue down the well-worn path of your old programming, or you cut a new one. You draw a line in the sand and declare, from this day on, I am no longer governed by the noise in my head. I am guided by the stillness in my heart. That is the beginning of real power. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels easy. Now, freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want. It is the ability to not be a slave to your own impulses. It is the power to choose your response. It is stepping away from the cheap thrill of instant gratification to build a mind that is an instrument of power, focus, and peace. You already possess this capacity, but it must be cultivated daily. There is no hack, no shortcut, only commitment, presence, and repetition. Begin to notice the story your mind tells. It's always the same one: you're behind, you're not good enough, you're going to fail. It is a broken record of fear. but it is a lie, and the moment you withdraw your belief from it, it shatters. That is what this turning point represents, a great letting go, a separation from all that was never truly you, a reclaiming of your own sovereign energy. The real battle is not with the world. It is the war within, the war between awareness and conditioning, between the truth of who you are and the identity your mind has constructed. Every day you choose presence over distraction is a victory. Every time you interrupt a negative thought pattern, you reclaim territory. The chosen are not without fear. They are simply more committed to their mission than to their fear. They hear the doubt and they move forward anyway. That is true freedom. In July 2025, let it be known, not to the world but to yourself, that the chains are broken. That you no longer mistake the voice in your head for the truth of who you are. That you now operate from a place of clarity. You move from a center of stillness. You are no longer bound by your own mind. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And once you remember, you cannot forget. You see the thoughts, but they no longer own you. You feel the emotions, but they no longer define you. You live, finally, deeply and on purpose. The true mission begins inside, not with action, not with words, not with changing the world. It begins in the quiet dedication to mastering yourself. If you cannot lead yourself, you cannot lead anyone. Before you try to heal others, heal your own fractured attention. Before you go searching for truth, you must first stop lying to yourself. The outer world is a perfect mirror of your inner state. That is an iron law of the universe. If your mind is in chaos, your life will be in chaos. If your thoughts are unclear, your path will be unclear. Inner order is the prerequisite for everything else. July 2025 is not a destination, it is an initiation. It is a gateway for the disciplined, not for the distracted. This path is not about chasing feelings of inspiration or motivation. Those are fleeting, they are unreliable. Mastery is not, it is built brick by brick, through repetition, through choosing discipline when the mind begs for ease, through showing up for yourself, especially when you don't feel like it. True power is forged not in what is exciting but in what is essential. The world is filled with people trying to lead from a place of confusion, driven by unexamined ego and fear. That is the source of the noise. You are not here for that. You are here to be an anchor of clarity, an embodiment of integrity. You will not have to say much. Your presence will be your message. But that presence is earned. It is earned in the unseen hours, by confronting your own excuses, your own addictions, your own weaknesses, by looking them in the eye and choosing differently. This mission is not for public consumption. It is about embodying a standard of truth so unwavering that others are reminded of their own. That is not a performance, it is a practice. It starts in the quiet moments before the sun rises. You train not for an audience but for your own sovereignty, because no one is coming to save you. You are the one you have been waiting for. Mastering your inner kingdom requires brutal honesty. You have to stop making promises to yourself that you don't keep. You have to stop saying, tomorrow, when you know it is a lie. Every time you procrastinate, your resolve weakens. Every time you choose distraction, you surrender power to your own mind. Mastery is not a certificate you earn. It is a choice you make in this moment, and the next, and the next.